Yes, Reggie Perrin. How could I possibly not have remembered? Anyway, Jamie Reggie Perrin. Actually, there used to be a French motocross racer called Olivier Perrin, and all the British contingent in the 250 motocross Grand Prix named him Reggie. So I ought to have been well aware of it. Thank you very much for the reminder, boys. Ben Curry, anyway, is on pole position. These lads are fairly intense, aren't they? They were pretty focused on the race ahead of them, all the guys that got spoken to. I wish Joe Francis would stop using the words hard and difficult. He'd just get out there and enjoy himself on that MV Augusta, because he's obviously got the talent to. He starts from 4th place on the grid. In fact, this grid is looking strong right the way through. If you check out the people who are actually in the race, the gap at the top is now reduced to 5 points between Ben Curry and Jack Kennedy. Tom Oliver having a cracking rookie season, 3rd for SGR Yamaha, ahead of Ross Twyman on the EHA Yamaha and his teammate David Allingham. James Westmoreland's Geerling Kawasaki is 6th, ahead of Tommy Philp on the Draper Racing Yamaha, Rispoli on the Everquip Racing Yamaha, Jamie Perrin himself, number 75 on the Slide Codor Go Racing Developments Yamaha, and then Bradley Jones in 10th place Yamaha. 11th for Joe Francis on the MV, level with Brad Perry and Tim Neve. Robert Kennedy in 14th place ahead of Danny Booth and last year's Superstock 600 champ Dan Stamper. And it's Ben Curry who's on pole position for Geerling Kawasaki. Alongside him is number 4 Jack Kennedy on the Integro Yamaha out of Robin Appleyard's camp. Jamie Perrin in 3rd place. Joe Francis on the MV ahead of Ross Twyman and Tom Oliver on row 2. Number 12 Bradley Jones on the 2nd of the Integro Yamahas leads row 3 ahead of James Rispoli and David Allingham, with Dan Stamper, Kurt Wigley and Robert Kennedy on row 4. Just out of sight of our caption, James Westmoreland, Bradley Perry and Tim Neve, and then the leading GP2 Motor 2 bike of Josh Owens, 16th ahead of Tommy Philp and Sam Wilford. This man has just had Ben Wilson, former runner-up in the Supersport Championship, by a single point, talking down his ear before the start. On pole position, and it's a 26-lap race for the Dickies British Supersport Championship and British GP2 Cup. So a long race ahead of these lads around this 1.2 mile circuit. Jamie Perrin got a horrible jump start. Oh dear me, Jamie Perrin got a horrible jump start, kind of hesitated, went again and ended up emerging in 2nd place. I fear there might be a penalty as we storm up Haywood Hill then, and Perrin probably is slightly, and you can see that he's immediately getting engulfed in the pack, because unlike yesterday when he took off in close pursuit of the leaders, I think he was probably just a little unnerved by what had happened to him coming off the line. Twyman 4th, Oliver 5th ahead of Rispoli, making a really good start on that orange number 43 equipped racing bike. There's number 12, the 2nd blue Yamaha of Brad Jones. And Jamie Perrin now decides that he's going to try and go with those front two who've once again made it to the front, and everybody else's objective seems to be, as spoken to James Hayden there, seems to be to get on to the same pace as these two lads, and they reckon they might do it in time, but at the moment those two are definitely ruling the roost.
They are indeed, and once again Ben Curry just gets a lightning start, takes the lead. Jack Kennedy was in 4th, but he's worked his way up to 2nd, but at the moment Perrin, Twyman and Rispoli are also going with him.
James, the race leader said higher gearing to get more oomph out of the corners. That slightly surprised me. Is that...
Well, I think obviously normally you'd shorten the gearing to get a bit more punch, but I just wonder where he was just running out a bit of a steam on a certain corner, so that's what he meant, because I mean obviously normally you say to get a bit more punch you learn the gearing and make it a bit snappier, but maybe he just meant he was in slightly the wrong part of the rev range, and he just needed a bit more punch up top. Oh, Perrin's having a look up the inside of Kennedy.
And I feared that. It's a ride-through penalty for Jamie Perrin. He's going to have to take that. Well, James, it was horribly obvious. He really jumped the start quite badly. Look, watch.
Look at the front row, left-hand side, the red. Oh, yeah, no, it's... the point is, though, he did move. I mean, listen, rules are rules. You can't move. But it's not like he got a massive advantage, because he, but at the end of the day, it is a jump start. There's no two ways about it. He's got to come in. It's a shame because he's been going so well. First podium, he's with these guys, but at the end of the day, you can't move, you can't cross your line, and that's that.
James, if you were him, would you take it really early and then give yourself the rest of the race to just see if you can pick your way back into the points?
No, I'd take it as my last possible moment, because this early part of the race, when it's spreading out and you've got clear track, and I think you've only got 2 laps or 3 laps to come in, haven't you? But it's just the moment you're spreading out, and I think it's best to leave it a little bit.
Okay, so gain as much advantage as you can right now by clinging on to the leaders and getting away from your pursuers, and then come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the ride through just entails having to go down to the speed limit through this fairly long pit lane and suffer it for the length of the pit lane.
Yeah, which is probably, I imagine, at least 25 seconds.
And at the moment, the gap between front and rear is about 13 seconds.
The other thing that you've got to watch is very difficult here, because you see where you are. You see where your eyes are pointing. You're going around a right-hander. It's on the side now. On the start-finish line, they're gonna have a look. There it is. They see them right in front of us. They've got the board out, 75 with his number, the yellow board with the black numbers to show him. But whether or not he's seen that, obviously it is in an obvious place. We should probably be looking at after knowing how long. He's just got 2 laps though, so 2 laps before he's got to come in, and then if he doesn't come in, of course, then he's going to get black flagged. So I do hope he spots it, because obviously he's having a good season.
Jack Kennedy has set the fastest lap of the race, 46.886, as he's just closed down on Ben Curry on that very beautiful, as ever, green and orange Gearlink Kawasaki. It looks like Jamie Perrin's going to sit right in there behind him for another lap.
I tell you what though, I mean, he's not coming on this lap, but he is doing super well. No one has been able to get near these guys so far this season. They've been in a different league, so Jamie Perrin doing a very, very respectable job there. It's just such a shame for him that he jumped the start. 7/1000ths of a second slower than the race leader on that lap was Jamie Perrin. Yep, and in 4th place behind him is Rispoli, so Rispoli's going to inherit that third, of course, when he comes in. Twyman's behind him, Fartis on the MV, Jones, Oliver, Allingham, then Stamper rounds out the top 10.
The man from Florida was sounding as bright, perky and confident as ever when you spoke to him on the grid.
I love speaking to him. He's always, you never know where the conversation's going to go.
And Rispoli, obviously, he got himself, and that's, there is Jamie Perrin hanging out that left leg to let the people behind know that he's going to turn sharp into the pit lane.
And exactly, now what you've got to be really careful of, if you pull into the pit lane, it feels like you're doing 1 mile an hour, because they've just been doing 150, 160 miles an hour, and suddenly you're like, God, this feels slow. So you really have to be careful not to get another speeding. There's a speed gun obviously being pointed down the pit lane, and he has to be really careful. And he comes out again now. From now across the line, he's got to have a good look just to make sure.
He's not at the back of the field, James.
No, he's not.
He just about got in front of someone going into Paddock Hill, so he's not at the back of the field. He's rejoined in a position where he can move forward and attack the points. We've got 20 laps to go, so he's certainly got time on his side.
Yeah, well, I imagine he's going to be, well, in fact, on our screen it says he's in 30th, so he lost 27 positions.
So he's got to halve that 30th to 15th to start getting into the points, but we're only on the 7th lap of 26, admittedly points that go past very quickly. So Rispoli now runs in 3rd, Twyman is up to 4th, Francis 5th, Bradley Jones in 6th, 7th for Tom Oliver, 8th David Allingham, 9th Dan Stamper, 10th Robert Kinney. I tell you what, these pure Supersport novices like Jones, Oliver and Stamper really getting to grips with Supersport racing. There we see number 75 Jamie Perrin going past us now, and Reggie Perrin up to 29th.
Yeah, he is. But just going back to that, you're right. I've been really impressed with Bradley Jones and Tom Oliver. It's been it's a very difficult class. The guys at the front are, are world class. And is that number 40? Was that possible? Number 20, that I think actually it is.
That's Tom. No, not Oliver.
It's Tom.
Is it Oliver who's dropped the? It might be the SGR Yamaha.
It is. It's Tom Oliver. Commentators, sorry about that, Tom.
Sorry, Tom. We'll keep our mouths shut in future. We were just saying how absolutely well you and your fellow rookies were adapting to the step up from Superstock 6.
Well, you can see down. Actually, that's a high side by the looks of it from where he's ended up there. So just easy done. It's a little sharp left, tiny little contact patch there. You're trying to get the power down, full on in 2nd, and he's been spat off.
Meanwhile, the battle at the front that we're going to have to get used to throughout this season involves Ben Curry versus Jack Kennedy. One man who's come back off the world stage versus one man who's got entertains ambitions to move on to the world stage.
And it also looks to me like Twyman in fourth is just closing in a little bit on. He was a tenth of a second quicker. No, actually 0.3 of a second quicker on the last lap. Somebody's wide there.
Oh,
at the bottom
someone's stopping.
Is that the MV of
it's Joe Francis. A problem for the Qingdao MV Augusta, and right at the point, oh dear me, so he's just had to roll it off track right in the hollow at the foot of Haywood Hill. Meanwhile, this is Westmoreland, Perry, Wigley, Philp, absolutely locked together in an entertaining battle for points. For 10th place, but every point counts, doesn't it? It makes a difference. James Westmoreland, former runner-up in this championship, number 3, making his return to it this year. Yeah, he does. He just hasn't quite found his feet in it though yet, has he? You know, we know how good he is. We expect him running at the front, but at the moment hasn't quite got it working as we'd expect. But he's got under a lot of pressure there, isn't he, from Kennedy? Robert Kennedy, number 41. Kennedy from Dundrod on the Team ILR RK Racing Yamaha. Now they're just going to come across the back marker here, so there's real opportunities to be had. And he's number 54. That's Mike Veldhuizen, the Dutchman on the GP2 bike, the MBS Race Engineering bike. Both cleanly through, whip past him, and away they go. The other thing I'd be a bit careful of is such moody grey skies up above us here. You know, you might, hopefully not, hopefully we're going to get this full race. I do hope so after the amazing race yesterday. 0.06 of a second between these two, but it could be important who's leading. So, you know, you really need to coming across the 2/3 race distance. So it's another thing that's going to be important, and also the back markers. So I wouldn't be surprised, you know, for Kennedy to try and maybe just get away past and see if he can find his rhythm up front. You're right about Rispoli's running faster. Rispoli's 4/10 quicker than on the last lap, and also Twyman's quicker than the 2 race leaders. So these two are closing the gap slightly. Yeah, and they've just dropped, as you can see, number 12 there, Jones, so they've just stretched it in. Allingham's behind them in 6th, Stamper 7th. Westmoreland's now up to 8th. Westmoreland is stretching away. He's got past Robert Kennedy and he's beginning to find his legs here. He did say in that wonderful sombre way of his that he at Donington Park, he told me that it will take time, but I'll be back on it in Supersport soon. Yeah, and I'm sure he will. So that time round, so the leaders responded. They were just a 10th or 2/10 quicker than Rispoli in 3rd. So you've got Curry and Kennedy, who are roughly about 2.5 seconds in front of Rispoli and Twyman. But that little gap there is getting quite interesting. It's down to half a second now. So as this bunch goes round Druids, the slowest bend on the track, and begins to prepare to assault the Dutchman on the GP2 bike, number 54. Who's going to get lapped at least twice, I would think, during the course of this race. Oh dear me. You must wonder what sort of whirly gig he's on here at Brands Indy when he's probably used to racing places like Assen. Yeah, but you know, it's such a great class. You know, the level of competition is so high. That's why it's a national championship, but with, you know, nationalities, 10, 12, 15 nationalities all around the world, you know, trying to get them. So listen, 13 laps of 26, so exactly half race distance. And we're hearing it's rain. And there's a lot of rain apparently coming down in the first section. So it's not amazing, because from in here it doesn't look that bad, and yet it's obviously fairly drastically. So and that was just what I feared. That's why, you know, this it was, you know, the sky just looked like it was going to have some, and apparently there's a lot of rain coming down in one section. So there's, you know, obviously there's no choice. I bow to your meteorological prediction there, James. You were right on it from the moment you were on the grid. So that is an early halt then to an entertaining race. Well, that means, James, we're not anywhere near 2/3 race distance, so this presumably has got to be a shortened rerun. Well, we can see the rain now coming down here. It's just our window finally looks like this camera lens that you can see in front of you now. So yes, we have got rain. Just 4 laps shy of the 2/3 race distance, in which case it would have counted. But so that is a shame that it just couldn't have held off for a fraction more. But nevertheless, that's what it is. We've got more information to follow, so we'll let you know as soon as we know. We are obviously in the Geerling Kawasaki garage. There's Ben Wilson, fantastic rider in Supersport, very close to winning the championship with his team. Yes, and it's noticeable that Ben Curry was instantly in close conversation with Michael de Vidal, probably explaining whether or not that gearing had worked for him. Now, although Ben Curry doesn't like rain, he actually rides very, very well in it.
Yeah, now listen, just saying, so grid positions for the restart, and the order they were at 12 laps. So they're just taking it back to that, 12 laps, so that's how they're going to restart.
Now, that's interesting, because it'll be Curry, Kennedy and Rispoli on the front row, Twyman, Jones and Allingham on row 2. So it puts James Rispoli into a strong position on the Quip racing bike.
Yeah, it's always one of those things that when you're having a good ride, you've had a good start, he was third row and you're in a comfortable position. This is just like, you're like, oh no, your heart drops. You think, oh God, I've got to do it all again now. Especially if it's a bit of a half tricky condition. But it's the same for everyone.
Ben Curry there giving us the shaking his hand. Jack Kennedy keeps his helmet on and sits quietly in front of the Appleyard McCann Racing. They are, of course, the reigning champions with Keith Farmer from last year.
One of the other problems that everyone's got, I can see the car doing some laps, just trying to suss out conditions, see what it is. But when it's like this, it's not enough rain to go wet, and it's not. It's just a little light sprinkling. So yeah, the question is, do they wait and let it try and pass, or do they try and go? It's a real difficult decision for the organisers.
Depends what he says. If he says wet race, then we're fine.
As you hear, if he says if he decides to say wet race, they'll have to go as a wet race and perhaps put wets on, because it'll be a short race, James.
Yeah, he said something like that.
So the two Geelink Kawasaki guys go up onto pit wall to check what's happening.
Yeah, we just apologise then for any bad language that was heard.
So we're awaiting a restart then, a restart over 12 laps then. Rispoli there will start on pole position. We'll take a quick break and be back with the rerun, hopefully in better conditions.